Hey everyone, welcome to the BetSports Golf Memorial Betting Preview. I'm Ryan Noonan, excited to be joined by the director of all things content related here at BetSports. Post Memorial Day hangover. You're probably not hungover, Andy. You're a professional. How are we doing today?
Yeah, and I'm old. Like I just don't drink that. I don't drink like that anymore. I did day drink, but no, like hangovers are a thing of the past because Christ on a bicycle, they last 2 days at this age.
Can't do it either, man. I was never really into it. It's just not my thing. And the hangover, like you said, it happens. It
Oh,
happens to me like mid drinking. Like I'm already starting to feel it. So, you know, they've made other things easier for us to consume here in the States of late, and I feel like it's just easier. You feel
yeah.
better. You feel
But
better.
it is
Wake up.
nice starting the week on a Tuesday though. Like just right the fuck into it. Right the fuck into the golf. Let's just and it's a good tournament. Like, and this is a thing too where you look at, especially when you do one and dones, you have to look at like how much is the pot, big pot. Not only tough course, great field, big pot, storied place. Like this is, there's the whole fifth major thing. Like this is just barely below that for me. Like of everything that's not the majors or the players, and not like a team tournament or something like the Ryder. This is for sure number 6 in the power rankings for me. So love this tournament. It was wild a couple years back where we get to play this course 2 weeks in a row. Never want to see that again. That was a weird 2 weeks, but yeah, very excited for this week.
Also, here as always, your favorite golf touts. Favorite golf tout from the Mayo Media Network, Geoff Feinberg. Geoff, how did our surgery go? I know we talked about having some painkillers, some Willie Z sweats, some Harold Varner sweats. Could not have nailed that more poetically last week. How are we doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. I am doing very well. Harold Varner sweats incurred. Harold Varner implosion incurred. I grabbed a small nibble of Burns Live at triple digits, so that was fun. Thought like a lot of people he'd come up just a little short, but by 3 o'clock I actually thought he had just the number to do it. So totally wild week, and like Andy, who's newer at this than I adore this place. I think, speaking of Muirfield Village, I think it is actually one of the easier events to handicap each year. Almost like the Brooks Koepka model to the extreme. It's been very kind to me. I think I've hit 3 of the last 4 here. I hit a Kuchar winner on my honeymoon in Hawaii here. Like maybe my favorite golf win of all time. Like a morning in Hawaii watching Cooch finish up a nice ticket. Nonetheless, I love this place. Love it. And part of me is worried I owe it some juju because I was one of those people who hit Cantley last year when they shouldn't have because of the ROM thing. But I love it. I love it. And I mean it when I say you have to have the utmost respect for a player. I think you could draw the line at 20 names. I say 20 because sometimes I count and I get to 18, and other times I count and I get to like 22, 23 because it's just players who you might not respect, but I respect. So I'm like, okay, I'll include them in my head or my chart of I'm now at 23. Let's try to find like 4, 5, 6 to bet on. I'm silly enough to say past history doesn't even lie. I think it's one of the easier events to handicap. Picking a winner is still a challenge, but I do mean that. And I think history represents it.
Yeah. I mean, even if you got it down to 20, let's say legitimately, there's a non-zero chance some long shot just shoots the moon and wins this. But like I'm fully on the Geoff Feinberg train here. There's probably like 20 guys who can win it. There was a lot of guys where it says, hey, my numbers love this guy. He doesn't win the Memorial. Like it's not a tournament this guy can win at this point in his career. I have to cross him off. I did a lot of that this week. And truthfully, even if you got it down to 20 and you could definitively say, you know what, the other 100 guys don't even get to play this week. It's still very hard to pick a winner. And the fact is, some of them aren't even 20-1, the guys you can win. So even if you sprayed the board, you can end up losing. And, if anyone doesn't remember, it's funny how many times Rufus's name gets thrown into these bad beats, as everyone remembers, the melt from 2 weeks ago when he had the ticket. But he had a massive ROM position too. and
that
John
sucks.
Rahm. Yeah, like that guy is the universe owes him something because that was what a 6-stroke lead, I think, when he got the COVID
5 or
and they
6.
tossed him out, and
Yeah.
that was really.
I remember
really
it even
something.
went to that. It even went to the playoff versus Morikawa. I had the Kelly ticket. People, I'm a never hedge guy. It'd have to be an extreme situation. Maybe like I'd have to be winning Rufus money, so I don't care if I'm getting a bad line back. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? But I think I'm a water finds its level. I don't hedge because I don't want to hedge next time, and I don't want to have to hedge the time after that. I'll win, I'll lose. It's like the same with the each ways. I'm just going for big, and when I hit, I'm not giving anything away. And every time I should have, I win, and I'll just win it all back anyway. Water will find its level. So that felt like a total free roll. I was like, how are you hedging? You shouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on the hedge
that was
thing.
funny.
Yeah, that was painful for Rahm because he was so dominant. He got it back in a couple weeks. To your point, even for Rahm, level found its water. A couple weeks later at Torrey Pines, so he figured it all out. So yeah,
we don't talk about that. I think we brought up playoffs a week or two ago, and I said the same thing. It's hard. Like it's the only spot really you can actually hedge for real, and it's not like, oh shit, I have to watch out for some guy shooting like 62 tomorrow. But like in a playoff, you could hedge. You have a little bit of time. I didn't yesterday or Sunday. I still think it's Monday for some reason. I didn't with my Burns ticket either. It was like, I just never do. I'm not going to. I'm simpatico there with Geoff. It's like if I do it, I feel like I should do it every time. And since I don't, I'm just never going to.
Yeah, I don't want to pick a spot.
I was fully prepped to lose that. I'm like, you know what, Burnsy's tough, but this is not the guy you want of anybody in the field. Like, this is not the guy I want in a playoff with.
It was only because the course literally probably seemed so much different. It's not like Burns played an easy course. He did not. But that course got significantly harder in the 2+ hours Burns did not play. When Sam Burns was driving with 140 yards in, balls could get on the green. They weren't like just being like knocked out of the air when Sam Burns was finishing. His good drives could be rewarded with a putt. That did not even seem possible in the last like hour of play. So that was my concern with Burns. Like these are greens he hasn't putted on. This is a different course. Good thing he got it over quick. It was his first putt. The putt had a huge bobble in it also, which is normally I'm like, uh-oh.
He didn't even land. He didn't even end up on the green. Like,
it just off. Like there was just a huge bobble off like the face, which is never a good thing. That usually means it's going to come up. Whatever it means, it usually does. It put it right in the goddamn hole. So next time a putt bobbles and I'm annoyed that it like goes 8 feet past, I'm gonna have to be like, well, that Burns bobble bottomed cup in the playoff.
Yeah.
And Scheffler with his C game, like I don't know what else there is to talk about. Horrible conditions, sea golf. I'm always surprised. Like last week, though, we had the 4 golfers essentially all tied at 10 under. The last 4 golfers on the course, all on the back 9. And Burns is in at 9. And I'm just always naive enough to think, well, one of these guys the guys who are playing the 4 best this week at this moment, one of them's going to like find a way to play great or, like hold on, play just fine. And no, they all got. And Scheffler's lucky he could even sign for a 9 under.
Yeah. I had a Davis Riley ticket, 50-ish.
Oh,
and when he was earlier in the day, it was like, oh, I've all weekend it was like Riley, and I don't even know if it was Burns. There was a spot on like Friday afternoon where I said I might need to slow down on betting Sam Burns so much. Like just because I used him in some stuff last week, it wasn't great. I'm like, why are my numbers loving him so much? Obviously, he's had a good year, but do I have to pump the brakes on him? And then obviously, what happened. But yeah, it was you end up with Sundays, and you look at who can I get if you have anybody. I've had Sundays where it's like, fuck, I'm dead. I got nothing. But it was nice having Riley, and then he plays well. He gets to 11 under. find out that would have won the tournament by 2 if the conditions hadn't deteriorated a little. And it's wild. After he had his 2-hole stretch where he went 4 over, I just kind of tuned out, played some Zelda, tuned back in, and realized there's we're straight carnage right now. And somebody tweeted about it, made the joke like Sam Burns isn't dead here with this 9 as all these guys are sitting at 10. And yeah, that was wild for somebody to come in. I mean, Geoff, how long was he in the clubhouse? Like,
it was like 2+ hours because I was charting it. Like, Riley was right almost in the middle of Burns and the leaders and like the final like 2 groups. So it's almost like Riley's in that, like Burns is just too early. Riley's going to be like perfectly in, you know what I mean? But it flipped. I haven't seen, we see things play hard. It gets hard at Bay Hill each year. I don't really remember that. And Lucky, yeah, I don't know, Burns, it's a guy a lot of people circled around pre-bet, a lot of live bets that I saw. I saw someone even something like flirting with 200, which I'm not surprised. Maybe once he was falling on Saturday, and once Scheffler's in the lead like that, there's just such an amount of respect for what a guy a touchdown back is going to have to do. So, I mean, there it is. I don't think this is going to continue, though. I think we're going to get halted in a big way. These are more like European Tour Sunday vibes, like what's happening.
And that tour had a great Sunday.
Yeah, insane what happened there. Ryan Fox like minus 5,000 on 18T. So crazy. Just I golf's wild. What a hoot. But yeah, I don't know. I think I
had to go look who my other horse was, because like going into it, I remember I'm like, all right, I got 2 guys that are semi-live here, and it was Chris Kirk.
Yeah.
And I was so happy. I'm not.
He had a shitty Sunday.
You folded big time.
I don't know. I was pretty. I don't want to talk about it actually, but I was pretty excited for Varner. Like once he got it to 10, he just, he got 3 top 6s in his last like 7 events. Like it just kind of all felt like the moment, like right now. And holy Jesus, I don't even know. You guys say I called that. Not even I could have prepared for that.
He rubbed the hole multiple times in the same hole. I mean, it was a lot of hole rubbing, and the real bad beat, because Geoff told you, he had this week's newspaper last week. He told you there was going to be Varner heartbreak. He didn't tell you how bad it was going to be for top 20 bettors.
Oh my God.
For people to not cash a Harold Varner III top 20 bet that's a felony.
Yeah, I didn't have
felony.
It.
I know, but
I had him to win.
Rough.
I had him to win. I had him in DFS. And I was like getting really cocky. Like I almost tweeted at one point on Sunday, I love when Varner chalk is good chalk.
Good editing there. Good self-editing.
Just nothing good comes from it. I mean, when you're buddies with like Tim Anderson, like what what good can come from tweeting in an event? Like you either have the winner and you're happy at the end, or you don't. I don't need to be like fodder for people on the way through it either.
Type it out, put it in the drafts, let what transpires.
Yeah.
And
last thought on last week too was you talk about the good chalk, bad chalk. Harmon was like mega chalk. I didn't even really fully understand what happened to him. He just didn't have it. Like everything went wrong.
Yeah. I had 0, but I don't even take credit. Like I said on Mayo, he's just like not one of my guys. I don't care. Like I can't even like victory lap it, because I'm like, my analysis wasn't like he's going to play bad. It was just more like, no, I'm not a Harmon guy. You guys can have him.
Yeah, I did not expect the cards to flip over and see 30% Brian Harmon in like triple digit single stakes tournaments.
And then he shoots an 80. Like
right out the gate, he was like 3-4 under, like quick before people finish their morning coffee.
They say it's not gambling, guys.
It's a skill-based game, Geoff. It's a skill-based game. So, but kudos to Colonial for being a spot that's like not changed. That you can still roll that bad boy out at like just a tip over 7K, and these players are still, getting a real test where everything these days is stretched out and all sorts of different things they have to do. That place can kind of stand the test of time. Memorial is, like Andy said, one of the definite, next cuts. I think I would put the Riv up there. I'd put, maybe Farmers with Tory up there in that next tier of golf, tracks and tournaments. And we see it in the field here. This is obviously a very loaded field. Sam Burns is, tucked away with his win. He took the week off, but we have a basically a major type field here at the top of the board. Geoff touched on it. I think the Rahm stuff is interesting. We have a lot of, people want to tell themselves stories and narratives, and that Rahm, I don't know who he's getting revenge against, per se, against, COVID-19, but, Rahm, we have to pay the price. We're not getting any discount on Rahm at the top of the board. But, Geoff, what do you, what's jumped out here? I know that you want to kind of stay in your range and below, I think, based off of, early talks.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily thinking Rahm is gonna bite me, although if he does, I'm prepared for it. I'm just prepared for like Memorial to like to just get got after like last year. Like I owe one to this place. I might owe 2 or 3 to this place because there have been a few playoffs. You could convince me, Rahm. He's going to a comfort course where you make the case he should be the back-to-back or won 2 of the last 3 years, or let's just call it 1.5 wins. We see great players all the time have dips in form, go to their absolute comfort course and contend, and have late tee times all weekend. Rory, I guess, feels as primed for anybody for this win more than anyone in the field. I don't think I'm going to be there on either. Yeah, so that's a hard, no, I don't want to say hard pass, but there's like a path I like at Memorial, and it doesn't involve the very top.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, the around the green stuff shows up here a little bit based off of, last couple of years trends. And that has actually been part of Rahm's bugaboo here of late as well. And you look at the last 50 rounds, he's 98th in this field. And this is 120 invitational, right? So this is not a stretched out field. He's 98th in strokes gained around the green, 53rd in strokes gained putting. So like, it's just been, I don't know, it's a big enough sample size to feel like maybe there's something there. Now, this is obviously Jon Rahm, and this can work itself out quickly. But at the same time, like there's enough here where we're not getting the discount to feel like it can work itself out. We're not talking about Rahm at, 14 or something like that. We're paying, 8s to 10s basically on Rahm. So tough for me to get there too, Andy. Is anything that
I could make case though, like at an 11 or 12.
Sure.
I'm not betting it, but I could argue it might be a better bet than like betting him to win the US Open in 2 weeks. The field is smaller. It is we'll talk about the finite field the US Open is, but this is probably half of that, even if you want to be aggressive, in my opinion. And it's his ultimate comfort course.
Yeah.
US Opens, well, they suit him perfectly. They change every year, like locations. You have no idea how he feels or his eye lines up for anyone in particular. Obviously, Tory's its own, for him. But so yeah, like Rahm versus the US Open, I think I like this more. So I could make that case to like the Rahm fan, the Rahm better, but I'm not there. I'm not.
I think the best form at the top of the board, Andy, is with Rory. And I know that's someone that's caught your eye here early in the week.
Yeah, I played him. I don't like playing these either. I'm just kind of the same boat. I didn't want to bet anyone at the top. I found a 1275. He's 13 at Circa. Like I couldn't get there at 10 maybe, but 10 and 13 it's not like a huge difference. Made me feel a little better about betting him. But yeah,
it is at the top of the board, especially. I think it's a difference.
It definitely helps. But yeah,
14 at the score. Our friends at the score have a 14 on Rory.
Always the score. And if Rahm wants to beat me, that's fine. I'm the same boat. If Rahm wants to just play how he plays this course and do what he did last year, I don't think he's in the same sort of form. And yeah, his a decent sample size of his around the green stuff isn't great. His scrambling hasn't been great. He's the middle of the pack, really, when it comes down to the guys here. Probably below average around the green.
statistically winning here. Like you don't win here with you can't win here with your C game.
No.
Like you can't win here with your B game. And that almost goes to like, maybe Cantley's sleeping in the woods. He loves this place. I bet him to win the PGA championship. But he is the type of he sucks at majors, but he's great here. Like that's why I can never get around on him being bad at majors. Cause like I'm not saying Murfield's a major, but it's
an analog though.
Yeah, no, it's hosted some big things. I think Ryder Cups, President's Cups, like Jack can grow its teeth out. Jack is very sensitive anytime somebody roars here. Like when they workdayed this place, he said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Remember, like just the back-to-back. So Jack makes sure there's shots everywhere to be had. I don't know, maybe Cantley is like lurking, but I would pivot behind him as well here.
In the C game, B game, A game, whatever you want to call that, like I run some numbers just trying to find like form guys who are ascending and already have the baseline, who've already at some point, it can't be someone who did it 20 years ago. At some point has been like, one of the best in the world and is peaking towards that again. And yeah, like that describes Rory right now. Like his form at certain places has been stellar. He's played very well at some tough courses. Just doesn't quite have it going all the way at a few of these where he could have won it. So Rory it's not going to be a big win because his odds aren't great, but I was forced to add him. That was maybe one of my shortest ads I've had in a while. Usually like Burns was my shortest ad last week at 30. I usually don't dip down into the below 20. I have a bunch this week though.
Well, curious to see how especially with JT coming to Canada next week, Rory coming to Canada next week, Rory looking to defend his title. Yeah, be fun. Gonna
be a good one. I'm in the Feinberg range this week. I was thinking about adding a Rory. I'm probably going to add, even to be honest, I might add two more in that range of 20s to 60s, and I'm not even in the 60s. I feel like this week maybe it's like 20 to 40, to be honest, because I feel like there's a lot of win equity in that range. Xander is like
doing it because I did it.
Did you? Okay. So he's number one in anything I run this week.
I did it. It's been a while since I went to Xander Roulette. I'm gonna do it. The smarter golf better will probably say, dude, just play Morikawa Roulette. Like it's way more likely to land on the color you need than Xander Roulette. But I'm just such a, I don't know. Is my first vibe on Monday morning, and I bet it this morning, and I'm just in on it. I'm in on Xander week, Ryan.
When you look at the history, it's been nice. Not like top 10 nice, but just outside, right? 14, 13, and 11. He, again, this is Xander at his peak anyway. There's really no holes in his game, and you have to kind of have a no holes game to contend here. But again, like, is it enough to get him to where he needs to be? Gosh, like at some point we're going to start to get actual discounts on Xander. There's a 22 out there.
We were on the precipice of it. Literally Friday at 11 at the Byron, we were on the precipice. I promise you we were. There were 28s out for the US Open or for the PGA the next week that would have gone to like 35 that's before the boost got a hold of them. I mean that. I mean it. Had he missed the cut at the Byron, we would have been here, but I don't think I'd be having the conversation. I want to bet him at Memorial. That may be an unfair number. So the number is the number. In fact, it even went down on me. I had it to an enhanced win at 24 to 1. It dropped him on me to 22. And I sat and looked at it, Ryan, thinking like, who the hell else is betting this guy? I'm the only idiot in the room. apparently there's a couple of us.
There's a few of you, and I get it. Like, you're running any sort of, regression models or looking at anything statistically, he makes a ton of sense. He is great at basically everything you need here this week. He's terrific in like the bogey avoidance. I think matters a lot. He's top 3 in the last 50 rounds. Proximity on the long par 3s, top 10. Terrific finding the fairways, which I know you can do here a little bit easier. You can land a plane on these bad boys, but you don't want to risk missing because we're dealing with like 3 to 4 inch bluegrass here. It can get really thick and grab a club. I was just talking to Travis Fulton a little bit. Said it sits up a little bit more here than it would in like a Florida Bermuda where it's going to fall down and grab the club. That doesn't really happen here as much, but you still can get flyers out of that. You don't really know what's going to happen. So you want to be in the fairway, and Xander makes a ton of sense there. Tee to green, he's always going to be in the top 10. So yeah, I get it. And you took a couple of shots here in this range.
Well, I had
Xander at Waste Management. That was
yeah, so did I. I think that was the last time I bet him. We've been on a break. And listen, I've made other bets in this range. I'll let Andy get to the smart ones. I'm sure they are the smarter ones. When I've bet Xander at 22 and like Cam Smith 22, Morikawa like 22, 24, Jordan Spieth 22 win this thing, like this is the one where I should be like the guy beside me can wear the I'm with stupid t-shirt, but because I'm sure that's who Andy's betting, like, makes a lot of sense. Morikawa roulette feels so much smarter right now. Even Spieth, who I actually really like at his high DK price point in the 9,000s, I don't mind because I think he's actually going to have a strong week. I'm there with Xander. So Andy, tell us the smart bet.
You named him already. I bet Burns, or excuse me. I keep looking at last week.
We know you bet Burns.
I bet Burns.
Jesus. We saw the graphic.
I mix him up with the other guy who Cam Smith. I don't know why they don't look anything alike, but I did bet Smith. I did bet Morikawa. I don't bet Morikawa terribly a lot. I feel like I was coldish on him at the beginning of the year through part of the spring. I didn't like. He didn't seem invincible on his second shots as we had seen when, especially when he rattled off his majors. It's like, Jesus, this guy he's just pin seeking, doing whatever he wants. Like, you might as well let him walk it up to the green and put it down with his hand, So I did bet him this week. 23 is again in that range. I think I'm still on the break with Xander. It was close. Like, you got a good number. There's places that are down at 17, 18 to 1. So getting him above 20 feels a little better. When I looked at him at 17, 18, I'm like, man, I'd way rather have Cam. I'd way rather have Colin, even like Shane Lowry. Yeah. Shane Lowry is getting a lot of love this week. I couldn't quite get there with him. I have him up there. I just don't know if this is the right.
I'd rather bet Fitz than Lowry. And I don't think I'll be able to get to either, but I feel like I've pocketed those two as I need to. If I'm going to bet either, I'd have to decide which of those two I even like to bring into that next.
Those discussion. Are the two shortest that I bet. I bet Lowry and Fitz. They're my shortest bets right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That takes the Fitz take. I'll give you credit, Ryan. I want to bet Fitz so badly. I'm betting other losers, I guess. It just feels like he feels his due as so many other guys. I like him more than.
What if it plays super tough? Like, who's the guy who just goes out there and pars everything? Well, like, Fitz.
Who was on Andy? Who do you think was on his couch on Sunday? Thinking I should have been playing Colonial. Matthew Fitzpatrick.
That's true. I didn't quite make out what exactly went wrong with some of the guys at Colonial. It was some weird results, honestly, on Thursday, Friday for me. But Fitz, I have as one of the better course fit guys here. Just a little worse in a few other areas, but I have him up there. He was close. Yeah. Like I was DMing with Ryan early. I think I named 5 guys that I almost bet, and I'm 90% sure that was one of them.
Yeah, he was in the list. Yeah, for
sure. There was so many guys that just like almost made it. And Lowry was another one who just, I think it was course fit that kept me off here. And then Xander again, I'm with Geoff as far as like, can I make a case for this guy winning here with this field at this track? And then you go look at the price. But yeah, Homa, Riley, Lowry, Fitz, and Jocko. First four, we'll do like the selection Sunday, first 5 out.
Yeah,
Because I can't, because I want to bet everyone.
Say them again.
Homa, Riley, Lowry, Fitzpatrick, and Neiman.
Yeah.
And Davis Riley. I'm in love with Davis Riley. I have a man crush. This guy's going to be on many betting cards. He's not going to be on a betting card for me this week. It's tough for me to picture him getting it done here as if he spins through the Midwest this year, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him in Detroit. I'm going to take him in Minneapolis. I'm going to take him in River. What is the one in like Connecticut?
River Highlands.
River Highlands. I can never think of that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, those aren't really the list of guys in that range that I am looking at, but I could see them all. I will say I'm a big fan of the stepping stone narrative that Muirfield Village is, that the handshake from Jack represents, guys. I can buy into that narrative, as it was so well. I mean, I knew it in my head, and we all know it when you play it back, but Steve Bamford laid it out so beautifully. Before Cantley won here, the biggest win of his career was Shriners. Before Bryson won here, the biggest win of his career was a 217 John Deere. Before Rahm won here, he'd been 2 years without a win, and his last win was a career builder. When Hideki had won here, it was the biggest win of his career. Kuchar, Stricker, they're just this is a place where even Rose, this was the biggest win of Justin Rose's career before he went on to win his U.S. Open. Was Muirfield Village. So I'm just like a slut for guys that can check that box for me this week. And obviously that's Hovland, Fitz, Zalatoris, even Homa and Neiman. I made a joke already this week a couple times, guys, that if both of these guys, either of these guys, if you are able to secure a Riviera win and a Memorial win and get the trophy from Jack and the trophy from Tiger, that's worth a quarter or a half major. To me, as Hardo golf guy, for your mantle, if I walked in your house and saw that with the pictures beside them of the presentation, that would have my attention before your Wanamaker. Yeah. Just saying.
Doesn't it feel like just what you're saying though? Doesn't it feel like Zalatoris crushing in majors, playing really well, being towards the top of the field? It's super hard to win your first tournament. Probably a lot harder to do so at a major. Doesn't this feel like the best?
Perfect.
It feels like perfect.
Feels perfect. And before we went on air, Bet365 gave the 40-1 boost, and that's just like my Tuesday lunch crack at this point, guys. I can't quit it. I don't think it makes sense to quit it. Full field Zalatoris 40, it's auto. I'll get burned till the heavens come home, but if I'm gonna hit it, I'm gonna hit it at top of market number. So I've bet Zalatoris, and I have bet M. I got M at 40. I loved what I saw last week as a lead-in event to wanting to make a bet, almost a perfect. He played 3 under on Sunday. Burns was 5 under on Sunday, I believe. I don't even think he actually had COVID. You'd think I should know that for sure. I just think it was the logistics. And
it was. I don't think he had it.
So I think he's a perfect bet. He hits all my narratives. And Cam Young might win. He's getting a lot of attention this week. I think it's pretty. The dynamic of how quickly he's caught these guys on the odds board, it is the same ask as Zalatoris, first win being you haven't won yet, so we're asking essentially for the same thing. But now that Cam Young's 40-1, I'd rather bet Neiman or M or Zalatoris right in front of him. And if I'm wrong about it, then I've been wrong lots before. Nothing new.
Sanjay was the first bet I made Monday morning at 40. Same reason. Yep. Yeah. I just loved what I saw tee to green. Like you said, just a kind of a wonky putter week. And he Just what we need here, I think he does really, really well. Finds fairways when he is just electric tee to green. Again, like he can have these spike weeks putting, and that's all we need. Like I don't really care if he's going to have these spike weeks on the negative side. He can get there on the positive side too. So love Sanjay. He's becoming, I guess, a guy for me too. I bet home at 40. Again, like there are like I do have some of those like Riviera vibes here, and again, kind of the rough can get penal. But if it doesn't really matter around the green too, but if you're just striping fairways and greens, I think it was really encouraging to see Homa contend at Southern Hills and a spot where we were worried about around the green stuff, and it just didn't matter. Like he was hitting the driver great, and the around the green or the approach game was dialed in. So love Homa. So those are kind of the plays I made so far at the top. But I think I want to add a couple of these Wake Forest boys because I don't want to be on the wrong side of not having the Will Z. And again, he's moved to FanDuel, moved him to 35, which again, like this happens. I flirt with him on Mondays at 28, and I know I'm like, I might get a 33, I might get a 35. And that's happened. So I had to click Will Z before we turned.
Ryan, as guys, listen, this isn't like the hardened, how do I put this the most polite way possible? There are people that like bet and do what they do that'll just like, I'm not trying to be them, so I'm allowed to like say this. Doing this like weekly golf betting, it's a grind, and I have to like convince myself of things. And I am like technically at this point allowing myself. I'm not saying it's right. Doesn't mean the money isn't fucking real. I'm still dropping these chips on a casino floor. Like they're still getting into the house's hands instead of mine. But it's almost like Will Zalatoris above 30-1, even 35-1. It's almost like when I ledger my golf bets, see how good or bad I did. It's almost now its own separate category. Like it shouldn't even be part of the official picks. It's now just like this own separate side hustle that I'm so deep in that should have no bearing on anything else that I am doing or presenting to people, despite the fact I think he's amazing. And I don't think betting on him at 40-1 is bad. I'd argue it's value, but still, I don't know. I just am chasing it too much that it's now like moving over into its own ledger.
But what do we need to win here? We need tee to green. We need it's the most predictable skill set, and it is what he has in spades. And like, I know that, like, again, like we've talked about it before, they need to stop fucking zooming in on his 5-footers. It is not fair. It is not, it is really tough to watch, especially if you have consistent Willie Z tickets. But I was really encouraged to see the lag putting. Like he putted fairly well. I mean, it was great Thursday, but like there doesn't seem to be these putting struggles from 25 feet out. Again, he's so damn good that he leaves himself with more 5-footers than 25-footers. And there seems to be some like bad juju there. But again, we've talked about it. The 35s are going to be gone when it comes in. And I don't think he's going to win Detroit. I don't think he's going to have the Hovland swing where he just puts up 3 wins against, the swing season and nobody's. Like he's going to win a big boy field event at a big boy course. And Geoff talked about the stepping stones. Like it is all there for Willie Z. And there's no way I can stand on the sideline and go, passing this week.
Oh, I mean, it's just one. It's like a rope that's going to break, and there's one last thread. Yeah, he's been 2 playoffs already. It's one at a big-ass tournament, and yeah, everything he's doing is right. And it's funny because I would have bet him at 28. Like
I wouldn't have hated it.
Maybe and really, so day drinking and grilling all day on Monday saved me from a bad number because I didn't get to my golf shit till like Monday night. And by the time I ended up placing bets this morning, it was a 35. And yeah, I don't know that that's going to be around when they tee off on Thursday. I think probably settles in right like that 28's probably where he should be. I think that's where it settles. And yeah, I would be ecstatic if he won this tournament because I think it ends up, and there's been so many guys like that this year. It's not all been, breaking maidens and first timers, but man, when a guy wins a tournament this year, it's like he's going to win another one. Obviously maybe not the Tom Hoagies of the world or did Luke List win a tournament? Did I dream that?
No, he did. He beat
That happened.
Willie
That happened in real life.
Zalatoris at Torrey
Yeah.
Pines.
Yeah, that actually happened in real life. But like, the Homas, the Burns, the Schefflers, like they're just coming in bunches for some of these guys. And Zal, it feels like Zal is due for a few.
He is, and as is his teammate, as Geoff said. I mean, like,
Also, we have to consider bounce back grade off the Miss Byron cut to the great PGA performance. So whatever, he missed the cut last week. Was I stupid chasing another will bet? Of course, but this one does check more of the course fit, the events that neutralize the field are the Will Zalatoris peak events, and I came on the show saying this might be the most peak neutralized field regular event on calendar. So let's go. Yeah. Yeah, no, at least we're giving that. Hey, yeah, that's fine. That's the bet I've made. We didn't talk about it at all. I get myself suckered into this one. Ceiling week breakthrough. Can't help, for my mind, think Hovland does line up quite well here, and on the complete opposite end of that, the disrespected elite of choice for me, if I make a move, is I'm seeing 30s on Hideki, which seemed like a really nice number for him, and how he just goes about it and how he's transformed himself as well with that around the green, can fix the mistakes, the bogey avoidance. It's almost silly that I've bet Xander and not him in some respects. As much as it's silly I bet Xander and not Cam, Jordan, or Kawa, like, the other people. Every time I look at a player, it makes me feel silly for betting Xander, but Hideki specifically.
Yeah, I get it. I get the Hovland stuff too. But again, like, if the around the green stuff can matter here at times, it doesn't if you're just, again, fairways and greens. But again, they can get a little wonky here, and that's kind of why you have to tell yourself a story for some guys and cross them off. And that has kind of been his bugaboo. But yeah, I mean, 25s on him is a decent number. Yeah, I'm not seeing any 30s in some like random books. But yeah, Techie 28s for the most part. Golden Nugget.
365, I think, on the enhanced is a 30 on Decky,
okay.
And they've even got it to 27 on Victor. So they put you in a place where, but again, it all comes down to, like, I don't want to overthink a couple points. Like, if Matthew Fitzpatrick, Ryan, was like 33-1, I think I'm betting him, but I'm not, because he's 28. But I also like other players, so it's just like game that I play. I also just don't want to write down Fitzpatrick and post it anywhere.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think so. You should always get the best of the number. But guess what? If you're watching this, probably not a professional bettor. Probably have a job too. It's important, but it's not so important that you need to sit in front of an odds screen for 12 hours on Sundays.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, like that, because I just think to the Homa ticket from 4 weeks ago. Ryan betted on Sunday, and I really liked it. Everything popped. I almost didn't bet Max Homa when he won the fucking tournament, because I'm like, man, I'm getting a shitty number. And it got in my head.
You're not.
And yeah, well, yeah, obviously it was.
No one, nice. when some people get like a first off the line, like 48 or 50, and then he wins at 40, no one's ever like, bruh, look at your 40. Don't you feel stupid?
No, you don't think about it.
You feel like $1 million to hit 40-1.
No, that's what I'm saying. Don't let a couple of points, especially if it's a recreational thing for a lot of people. Like, don't be a hardo that says, oh, I didn't get the best of the number on a guy I really like, and he's still 40-something-1. I'm not going to bet him now, because I was damn close, and I'd have stayed in bed Monday if that happened, because I loved Homa that week.
So on the world, and where we're saying 25 guys can win, and I bet 5 guys, I got 20% of the field. What can go wrong?
Yeah. I did, and I did bet Cam Young. Like, I couldn't resist. Like, he's just a guy that's gonna be on my card now.
And I don't have anything against it. I just I got to the point where
can't bet them all.
Swimming it, and it's like I'm Neiman it. Like, they're just other names. Now we're at a point where I have to now put you against other names to bet you, and it's harder. Although everything like form, results, if you put the Cam Young results and stats, but you didn't put the name, and then you put anyone from like Rom to Morikawa results and stats, no name. You know, people like to do that with quarterbacks and say, who's better?
Right.
You know, they take the name away from players. You would like foam at what you're looking at. You'd think, who is, what, you know, 6th ranked player in the world am I staring at?
It's been remarkable. And like we've talked about, big courses, big fields. Like, he's not doing this on the swing season. Like, this is happening at Riv. This has happened. I think
the craziest part about the Cam Young stuff, and sort of talking to some of our fans in the ecosystem who are like hardcore Corn Ferry guys, is his irons weren't even great on Corn Ferry last year. He was a pure bomber who could putt in many respects. And now he's like completely developed a full set of irons, and he's an unconscious golfer.
He's a lead around the green. There's no real holes. Like, he's got the whole thing.
And if you go back and look, like Geoff said, like if you look at a longer sample size of his irons, his approach, his greens and regulation percentage, it's not good. But if you just keep looking forward, it's like it's an ascension. Like it's not only good, it's just continuing to get better. That's how it was a hard choice. That was Sophie's choice for me with him and Neiman.
Like, yes, it's a hard choice. And I kind of went through it with Mayo yesterday in the sense that, like, I'm not betting I'm betting Willie. I'm not betting Cam Young. Well, you could bet both. And to your Davis Riley point, you could bet all three.
I know. I wanted Neiman though too.
It's the same ask for all of them. I mean, I would probably it's like now we're at the point in this golf outright winning betting content where I say things about Cam Young that in some ways make me come off negative or have to seem negative about Cam Young. I think I'd rather bet Davis Riley getting 15, 18 more points than Cam Young right now. Maybe that's silly, but I think the ask is essentially the same. And I'd still rather eat a couple more points and bet Willie, although they're pretty much the same right now.
Yeah. My choice was between him and Neiman for those in that spot. It said I'm betting one of these two. I'm not betting both.
Neiman's irons are wonky. If Neiman had irons, he'd already have been bet by me. I just have this innate trust in him, and he checks a lot for me, so I can't. He's still circling around potentially being wagered for me. Neiman.
Yeah, this is a expensive board for me because I kind of agree with Jeff's premise at the top, is that I feel like there's a world-class player wins this event, and I'm taking some shots. So I'll probably dial back maybe finishing position bets because I feel that there's a handful of guys that fit with good numbers, and I've taken more shots on outrights than I typically do. How about when we go down a little bit, Geoff, to the next tier, down below these guys into the 50s, 60s, maybe down to the 80s range before we get into if there's even a bomb that's worthwhile. Is there anyone down here in this range that's caught your eye, form-wise or fit here?
So we're kind of at the point where we're probably like 20 names deep on the board. And it's just like, you have to trust the guy. You have to have an intrinsic belief in this player to now, in my opinion, bet him to win Memorial. There's a few that I kind of do. I'm not betting Daniel Berger. I fanboy him a lot. It in many ways sets up like it does for other players who have spoken quite highly about this week. So that could be one that I do regret, but I'm just not seeing the form. I think like Seamus and Aaron Wise, you could see how like it does work for them. But in front of over 50, in front of 100, the only players that I'm really looking at would be Patrick Reed. Seeing live Memorial, like he has that trust that I do believe him. I got a little bet on him at 65 to 1, which seems top of market. And Leishman would be a guy I wouldn't hate taking a swing on, but I'm pretty much overexposed in front, so I don't have a ton. But you could hear me say nice things about Woodland or Noren if you wanted to.
And you mostly stayed away from this range too, right?
Yeah, and it's funny you bring up Gary Woodland because remember we got talking about Tommy Fleetwood last week? And I'm not a big Fleetwood guy, never have been, but man, he was kind of popping. I ended up betting him, got a decent number. And for some reason, everywhere I post my plays to my friends, my golf chats, the Discord, the official Discord, I did not spell Tommy Fleetwood's name right. I spelled it Woodland. And I realized it like 2 days later, and I went and looked at my account. I'm like, I didn't bet Gary Woodland. And I'm like, I bet Fleetwood. And I'm like, man, if either one of these guys wins, it's just a shitty situation because it's like if I post it and Gary Woodland wins, I can take a victory lap on Twitter, but I didn't make a dime off it. And if Fleetwood wins, I get the cash, but I certainly didn't tell anybody about it then. So I was kind of I had to cheer against both those guys, but Woodland's a good egg. The only guy I bet was Corey Connors. I don't know why. I convinced myself that he could win this tournament. But man, I got the stats to back up him playing well on this course. I have him high on course fit. He can sting it with his irons. If he ball strikes like he did over the stretch last summer, he's in the mix. And he was a 50. You can get a 60 at DraftKings. So 60-1 on him was kind of the only look down in that area. I had a couple guys that were, close. But like Geoff said, once I got to that point, it's like, shit, I already made 5 bets. Like, how full are we making this card? I don't need to bet everybody. Aaron Wise, I just knew that if I didn't bet him, you would. So, the team has some exposure on him. Homa was as high as 50 at some spots. That's, if you like Homa, if you like Mito, if you like Keegan, there's 50-ish out there. Davis Riley, 60. Chris Kirk up there too. Like that's the
case that
that's the guys.
Let me throw this one at you because it was asked of me yesterday. And I don't think I'm betting either. But wouldn't you even argue Mito is a better bet or value than Cam Young?
Yeah. Mito, I think, is a great fit here too. Like, I think he's elite bogey avoidance, can score in par fives. Like, yeah, I mean, part of it is just narrative and betting, the player that almost got there versus the player that, folded a couple of holes before Mito did. Like, it's just funny how it works out. But yeah, I mean, you definitely could. I think Mito was a great play. I mean, he's on the list. He'll probably get a finishing position bet, but I think that's a totally fair case. What's Mito's?
I've spent a lot of money on these Chileans, and I didn't have the 1 week where Neiman went wire to wire. So I'm deep in a Chilean hole here, and both of them were damn close. Couldn't do it. I think Mito might be. I leave.
What are you gonna do when
live ads?
What are you gonna do when the Chileans are playing like Sam Burns and somebody at the President's Cup in the fall?
That's gonna be tough, man. I don't know if I have ever put money on the President's Cup. That's such a hard. It's like the Ryder. I'll bet one bet on the Ryder Cup. Those are just. It sucks that they're such great events and they're hard to bet.
I love them.
I love them too. Yeah,
they're pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those.
Well, it's like the match play. God, I love the match play. I don't think I've lost more money on a single tournament over the past few years than the match play. It's just a huge suck for me.
Aaron Wise will not be an official play for me, but we know it's a play.
He rates out really well.
And the putting's been better the last couple of weeks. It's actually been good the last couple of weeks. So yeah, there's a lot to like about Wise. So I got one bomb and the number's long gone, and I was surprised, just shocked to see it. And I got Siwoo at 125.
Okay, that's good. He's ceiling. I would like, yeah. You don't bash that.
Yeah, I mean, like it's 80 in a lot of spots now. So again,
what's he been doing?
Nothing great. Nothing great. 60 last week or 60 at the PGA. Missed the cut at the Nelson. Otherwise, you're looking at like top 40s. He hasn't found the top 20 since Valero. But the ball striking has been good. Approach game has been really solid, and it's really just been tied to some cold putting. So I think he's got an 18th and a 9th here the last 2 years. Again, accurate off the tee, distance can compete. I think there's enough here. It was on Rivers, so I took Bet Rivers offers each ways. I took a top 6 each way on it at 125. So
how European of you.
yeah,
I haven't made any bombs. I don't know that I will. Sometimes when I verbalize things, I feel like forced to. So I've just like, I'm going to be annoyed to even say this, but Eric Von Rooyen, I didn't mind in some of the things I looked at. Keith Mitchell.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm just going to save my money for Canada next week.
Yeah, I think Mitchell's a good look, a great par 5 scorer. You're going to have to score in the par 5s here and kind of hold off, bogey avoidance on the par 4s for the most parts. Alex Noren's another guy that I considered, but I went, with the CU number, so I'm staying away. But Noren, again, tough golf courses. We like Noren. The approach game has been better.
Is there like some monster Noren number?
Let me see.
Yeah, like not like the Siwoo.
Yeah, no.
That was just a good
90?
number on Siwoo.
Yeah,
MGM is a 90.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I thought you sorry, I misheard what you said.
Yeah, these are just bombs that guys that are deep down that I think.
The deepest I might go would probably be the Woodland Noren, maybe just a couple baby bets. Yeah.
Alex Smalley. There you go, like 200 to 1.
He's charting well. Can I tell you a couple big football bets I made this week? Because hit Justin Thomas and I hit the Sam Burns live, and you can tell by my smile.
CFL firing up or what?
The CFL is firing up, but those aren't the bets that I made.
Okay.
So I maxed bet. We'll start with the So I maxed bet the Chargers over 10 wins minus 118.
Okay.
Like I'd take more if I could. So I did that. I don't have a worry in the world. And I bet Justin Herbert to win MVP. I see it's 12. The book I had my money in, he was 11. So I was just like, I'm going to take some of that because.
Yeah, those are almost like, I think they're probably just from a expected value standpoint, probably decent bets, but they're also brand bets for you. Like, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, how can you not love the Chargers?
I don't know. 10 to me, they won 9, like flying by the seat of their pants last year. 10? A push?
Yeah. And if you win that Houston game instead, you're.
I don't know. Whatever. June's tomorrow. We could talk about it lots going forward. But I'm
125 live on Burns. That gives you some money to play with and get into the
and it's a book that it's like this new landscape where I live in Ontario. It's like a Wild West with books, and I wanted to withdraw. They wanted a stool sample, and I'm like, screw you. I'm gonna put it right up your. And they're like, thank you for doing that, because they'd rather me just send them a document and send me my money. But
withdraw. I ran into that too. My congrats to everybody who helped me with this. But Tyler Hero, 6th man of the year at a big number.
Props.
I hit that and it wasn't my play, but people told me to play it. I played it at a book I don't really use. It hit. Suddenly I had a bunch of money there, and I'm like, you know what? It wants me to upload all these documents because I never use this. It's like an old book I signed up for.
Let me kick that problem down the road by betting some futures.
So I bet some futures, and then last week they happen to have the best Sam Burns number. It's the only bet I made there all week. So now it's like, God damn it! Now I got to take pictures of my driver's license, sitting next to like a utility bill, and one with my kids and my aunts in it. And I mean, there's a lot. So money out of here.
That's sometimes so winning is great, but sometimes winning on the wrong book is like, oh, that's gonna be annoying.
I had to go look. I'm like, because every other one I made was an illegal book. And I'm like, oh, where was this one? It was an offshore. I'm like, oh no, I got to figure this out now. So we did it this morning. Took a bunch of pictures. It's not all glitz and glamour.
It takes like 8 minutes. It takes like 4 minutes. I just complain about it.
It's just whining. I just want to whine. Yeah.
And I kind of get whatever. They got to do what they got to do. It is what it is.
Doesn't make it not annoying. It totally makes sense. I don't have that problem as much, but I try to stay off of Rivers because it just is aesthetically Like you're just, it's awful.
Looks like some
Was-
high school HTML like class project.
Yes, they designed it in '98. They have not updated it whatsoever, and it
Should
is.
we just
it's rough.
complain about books at the end of the show?
Yes.
Points bet. I just can't figure out the layout. It seems like there's a menu, and then every time I click on it,
Yes.
it takes me. It's like, all right, this should be all of the golf bets, and instead, it's all of the round 1 3 balls every time. And then I click 3 more times around, and I'm like, all right, this is it. This is going to take me, and it's going to have the outrights, top 5, top 10. And it takes you in a circle. You end up with the round 1 3 ball bets again. It takes me 10 minutes every
hard.
time to figure out where the bets are. So if anyone at point, I'm going to talk to Jay about it. Or yeah,
While we're on it, the book that I did hit the Burns live at, they don't accept like the full bet I want to make, but I can make like $5 bets and they like squeak through. It's so. And I'm like, because it's live, and you're like, I hope that, like, I don't want the number to move, so I'm just like fire pressing it, and I got like, got a few of them in before they.
That's the points bet method. You get put on the wheel, and then your stake gets cut in half, and then the number moved while they were processing your play, which is not a great look. But that was especially frustrating during draft season with our friends over at PointsBet. Yeah, Andy, there's a little drop down at the top. It still might take you through the wheel of like 3 balls and stuff, but like all tournament wagers, it's not super easy. But yeah,
I feel like I needed to write down exactly what I did when I finally found it. Like, all right, what were the last 3 things I clicked on once I finally got here? So,
Ryan, what's sort of like on the way out? What sort of like NBA Finals brick you dropping, or it's just all heart?
Oh yeah, I'm biased. I mean, I think a plus 130 is a great number on them. I think they're the better team. I think that they're going to be able to put Steph and Jordan Poole in high pick and roll situations and be a problem. And I think the rest here helps. So Boston at 130, I think is a great look. So you look, again, they don't play often. This is a super small sample, but even with some like inferior teams, since Kerr has been involved with the Warriors, Seltzer 9-7. They're the only team that the Warriors have a below 500 record against with Kerr as the coach. So Stevens is still in the building. I think that they know some stuff there, and I think that they're going to be a problem. I think Jaylen Brown is a nice long look for Finals MVP because I think that they're going to make it really hard on Tatum, and I think Jaylen's going to be able to exploit Clay in his lack of athleticism at this point. So Jaylen is a bomb from an MVP standpoint with the Celtics.
Cool.
I'm on Dubs in 5.
Fuck you.
Just because I hate Boston. Everybody I've met in real life or talked to on a show from Boston, it's pretty nice, but boy,
as a group, we're pretty insufferable.
Yeah,
the
fan base
I like you guys individually, but as like a Twitter gang, it's like
Boston. Yeah, but I almost said Boston Twitter and Patriots Twitter. I almost feel like those are almost 2 separate things, and they're both terrible. Philadelphia Twitter, and then honestly, Chicago Bears Twitter has been kind of rough for a few.
Yeah, they will tell you whatever you want to hear, that the Bears are going to the playoffs and that Justin Fields is it, and it's rough. Yeah, I don't catch much local Chicago radio these days, but it's a very optimistic group. So
yes,
yeah, I know. I don't engage in the insufferable Boston stuff on Twitter. It's me in real life. I just don't send it in tweet form.
Yeah,
I understand we are not a group that people want to root for. So I totally get it. No hard feelings. So yeah, we've been on the lucky side for the last couple decades.
Just be cheering for America again to take another cup. We're down to 1 final Canadian team, and my Avs versus the garbage oil or whatever, the crude oil barrels or whatever the hell they are. So it should be a good one. There's good players on both teams, apparently. So I don't watch enough hockey to care, but yeah, I do have an Avs to win the West ticket that I would like to catch.
Yeah, it should be good. I think the proper term in modern times for that series is it's gonna be a wagon, Andy.
It should be a wagon. Hopefully, just 4 games is wagon. All Colorado. I was surprised. Like like Feinberg, do you watch a lot of hockey just because you're from there?
It's
do you follow more hockey than I do. Like, are the Rangers not good.
I don't know.
My whole timeline has just been like how lucky the Rangers to be there. I'm like, am I supposed to bet on the Lightning then? What are we doing? Like somebody needs to. I'll have to talk to some hockey guys then.
Yeah, talk to. I'm not here for that. I don't know.
I'll figure out. I know other Canadians. You're not my only guy. So, all right. Well, did we have one we all crossed on? Are we all betting Zal?
Yeah.
It's time. Come on.
All right.
And Jeff and I bet Sanjay, Andy.
Let's
if you want
put
to
him
get
up in the
that.
corner. He's right there over Jeff's shoulder there. He is the official totem of the podcast today. So, all right, we'll be
it's Antonio Gates
back next week then.
Okay.
Then you put Willie up on you.
Oh, later.
Yeah, you gotta look at the screen. So, all right, Noonan. Anything else before we rip?
No, betswordsgolf.com. Go there. There's free stuff.
Check it out. See you guys.